The longest secrets are not the ones we hide from strangers. They are the ones we quietly carry past the people we see every day. For 7 years, Claire Bennett had perfected a simple habit. She looked. Then she looked away. Not because she did not recognize the tall man crossing the street with effortless confidence. Because she recognized him far too well. Chicago greeted another October morning beneath pale clouds and cool air. Office workers hurried toward train stations with steaming coffee in their hands. Parents walked sleepy children toward school. Delivery trucks rolled through quiet neighborhoods as another ordinary day began. Claire stepped out of her modest apartment building with her 8-year-old daughter beside her. Her canvas tote rested comfortably against one shoulder. A homemade lunchbox swung gently in her daughter's hand. Claire smiled as she buttoned her daughter's light jacket against the morning breeze. "You forgot your scarf. I thought it was warmer." "You always think that." Her daughter laughed. Claire wrapped the scarf around her neck with practiced hands before gently brushing a loose strand of honey blonde hair away from the little girl's face. "There. Better. Much better." They continued walking toward the elementary school only 3 blocks away. The routine never changed. Neither did the man across the street. Richard Hawthorne stood outside a neighborhood coffee shop holding a plain paper cup. His navy overcoat blended naturally into the crowd, though nothing about him was ordinary. Tall, calm, impossibly composed, he appeared to be waiting for no one. His crystal blue eyes drifted toward Claire for only a brief moment before returning to the traffic passing between them. To anyone else, they were strangers. Claire lowered her eyes almost immediately. She continued walking without slowing her pace. Her daughter noticed nothing unusual. Neither did anyone passing nearby. Only Claire knew she had already counted 6 mornings this month when Richard appeared within sight of her daily route. Across the street, Richard's phone vibrated once. A secure notification appeared. Visual confirmation complete. No further action required. He read the message, locked the screen, then quietly slipped the phone back into his coat pocket. His expression never changed. Claire reached the school entrance just as children began filling the playground. Her daughter hugged her tightly. "I will see you after school." "You always will." The little girl hurried inside with friends. Claire remained standing for another moment. She looked back across the street. Richard was gone. Only the empty sidewalk remained. Most people would have forgotten the encounter before lunchtime. Claire could not. She remembered every one of them. The first had happened 7 years earlier. Then another. And another. Always somewhere different. A hospital lobby. A charity fundraiser. A bookstore. The public library. A downtown intersection. A neighborhood park. Never close enough for conversation. Never far enough to disappear completely. She had stopped believing in coincidence a long time ago. Late that afternoon, Claire finished her shift at the local library before walking home beneath golden autumn trees. The same black luxury sedan she had noticed months earlier remained parked half a block away. Its windows reflected the evening sunlight. No one stepped outside. No one approached her. Claire glanced toward it only once, then continued walking as though she had never seen it. Inside the vehicle, Richard quietly reviewed a digital file resting on a tablet. One photograph showed Claire leaving the library only moments earlier. He closed the screen without reading another page. Outside, Claire reached her apartment building. Before unlocking the front door, she paused. Almost without thinking, she looked toward the opposite side of the street. The sedan had already disappeared. She smiled to herself. A small smile. Quiet. Almost impossible to notice. Then she whispered words no one else could hear. "You still watch from the same distance." She carried the groceries upstairs without another glance behind her. She never realized that, several floors below, another pair of eyes had been watching her for years. Richard never realized something even more extraordinary. The woman he believed he had been quietly observing had been quietly watching him for even longer. The next morning arrived wrapped in a gentle mist that drifted through the streets of Chicago, softening the edges of buildings that had watched countless lives quietly pass one another. Claire followed the same familiar routine. Breakfast. School lunches. A quick reminder to brush teeth. One missing homework folder discovered just before walking out the door. Ordinary moments always felt precious because they disappeared so quickly. Her daughter smiled as they reached the school entrance. "Will you pick me up today?" "I always do. You never forget." Claire gently touched her daughter's cheek. "That is my favorite promise." The little girl hurried inside, laughing with friends before disappearing through the front doors. Claire remained standing for only a moment. Almost without thinking, she looked across the street. There he was again. Richard stood outside the same coffee shop, dressed in a charcoal overcoat this time, reading something on his phone before slipping it into his pocket. The distance between them remained exactly the same, far enough to avoid conversation, close enough to notice each other. Claire smiled to herself, not because she was surprised, because he had arrived 3 minutes earlier than usual. She quietly continued walking toward the public library where she worked, never looking back a second time. Richard watched until she disappeared around the corner. Only then did he begin walking in the opposite direction. His phone vibrated once. A message appeared across the screen. Routine unchanged. Continue passive observation. Richard stared at the words longer than necessary, then locked the screen without replying. Later that afternoon, Claire finished shelving books inside the quiet library when an elderly woman approached the front desk carrying a stack of novels. "I cannot remember where I left my reading glasses." Claire smiled warmly. "Let us find them together." 10 minutes later, they discovered the glasses tucked inside the pages of a gardening magazine. The elderly woman laughed. "I suppose age keeps creating little mysteries." Claire smiled. "Sometimes the answer has been beside us all along." As the woman walked away, Claire glanced through the library windows toward the city sidewalk. Richard was passing outside. He never looked toward the building. At least, that was what anyone else would have believed. Claire noticed the smallest movement, the almost invisible turn of his head, the brief reflection in the glass. She had learned years ago that people often revealed more in reflections than in direct eye contact. When her shift ended, she stopped at a neighborhood grocery store before walking home. The cashier smiled. "Your daughter likes strawberries, right?" Claire nodded. "She would live on strawberries if I let her. I saved the freshest ones." "Thank you." As Claire stepped outside carrying 2 paper bags, she noticed a familiar black sedan parked farther down the street. Its engine remained off. The windows reflected the late afternoon sunlight. She did not feel frightened. She simply felt certain. That evening after dinner, her daughter disappeared into her bedroom to finish a school art project. Claire quietly climbed a small wooden step stool inside the hallway closet. She reached toward the highest shelf. Her fingertips brushed against an old storage box covered with years of dust. She paused. "Not today." With a gentle breath, she pushed the box back into the shadows and climbed down. Some memories needed more courage than she possessed that evening. Across the city, Richard stood alone inside his executive office overlooking thousands of glowing lights. His assistant entered quietly. "The weekly report is ready." Richard accepted the folder without opening it. "Leave it." After she left, he finally looked at the first page. Claire's photograph rested neatly clipped inside the file. He removed it immediately, folded it once, then slipped it into his desk drawer before closing the report altogether. Outside his office window, the city shimmered beneath the evening sky. Inside 2 different homes, separated by only a few miles, 2 people ended another ordinary day believing they were protecting old secrets. Neither of them realized. The hardest truth was not that they had been watching each other. It was that neither one yet understood why. Saturday arrived with clear skies and the kind of crisp autumn air that invited families to spend the day outside instead of hidden behind closed doors. Claire promised her daughter they would visit the neighborhood farmers market after breakfast. Fresh apples, homemade bread, pumpkins stacked beside flower stands. It had become one of their favorite traditions. Her daughter skipped ahead, pointing excitedly toward every colorful display. "Can we buy apple cider?" Claire laughed. "If we still have room in the grocery budget." "You always say that, and I always end up buying it." The little girl grinned. "I know." They wandered slowly through the crowded market, greeting familiar vendors who knew them by name. For a little while, life felt wonderfully uncomplicated. Then Claire noticed him. Richard stood near a local bakery examining a basket of fresh sourdough bread. He wore dark jeans beneath a charcoal jacket instead of one of his perfectly tailored business suits. Without the luxury office, without the polished boardroom, he almost looked ordinary. Almost. Claire quietly turned toward another vendor before he could notice her. Or at least, she wanted him to believe that. Richard looked up a moment later. His eyes found Claire almost immediately. For several seconds, neither one moved. Then something unexpected happened. Instead of walking away, Richard crossed the distance between them. His steps remained calm, unhurried, respectful. He stopped several feet away. "Good morning." Claire met his eyes. "Good morning." There was no surprise in her voice. Richard noticed. "I think we have crossed paths before." Claire smiled gently. "I think so too." Her answer lingered in the quiet air between them. Not confirmation, not denial, simply acceptance. Her daughter looked curiously from one adult to the other. "Mom, is he your friend?" Claire hesitated only briefly. "We have never officially met." Richard smiled. "Then perhaps today is the first time." The little girl extended her hand with complete confidence. "I am Emily." Richard accepted the handshake with genuine warmth. "It is nice to meet you, Emily." She looked up at him. "You look familiar." Richard laughed softly. "I was just about to say the same thing." Claire lowered her eyes for a brief moment. Some coincidences had become too familiar to ignore. Emily pointed toward a nearby booth selling fresh caramel apples. "Can we get one?" Claire reached for her wallet. Richard quietly spoke first. "Please. This one is my treat." Claire looked at him. "You do not have to." "I know." The answer carried no expectation, only kindness. After a short pause, she nodded once. "Thank you." Emily happily accepted the caramel apple before running a few feet ahead to admire handmade autumn decorations. Richard watched her go. "You have raised a wonderful daughter." Claire smiled with quiet pride. "She has helped raise me too." Richard looked at Claire differently after hearing those words. Not as another subject inside a carefully organized report. Not as another assignment. Simply as a mother who had quietly carried more responsibility than most people would ever understand. A gentle breeze scattered golden leaves across the market walkway. For several moments, neither of them spoke. The silence felt comfortable, strangely familiar. Finally, Richard asked the question that had waited 7 years. "Would you like to have coffee sometime?" Claire looked directly into his eyes, almost as if she had been expecting those exact words. Then she smiled. "I thought you would eventually ask." Richard blinked. There was something unusual about her answer. Not the words themselves, the certainty behind them. Before he could ask what she meant, Emily came running back carrying 2 tiny pumpkins. "Mom, look." Claire laughed. "They are perfect." She picked one up while Richard carried the other without thinking. The 3 of them walked toward the cashier together beneath the golden trees. Behind them, hidden among the Saturday crowd, a man wearing a gray baseball cap quietly lowered his phone after taking a single photograph. Neither Claire nor Richard noticed. But somewhere, someone else had just begun watching both of them. The coffee shop overlooked a quiet corner of Lincoln Park, where late afternoon sunlight filtered through nearly bare branches and painted long golden shadows across the sidewalk. Richard arrived 10 minutes early. Old habits. He chose a table near the window, ordered 2 cups of coffee instead of 1, then immediately questioned why he had done it. She had never promised she would come, yet something told him she would. Exactly at 3 o'clock, the front door opened. Claire stepped inside wearing the same cream cardigan she often wore to work, a soft blue scarf wrapped loosely around her neck. She smiled when she saw the second untouched cup waiting across the table. "You were confident." Richard stood politely. "I was hopeful." She laughed quietly before taking her seat. For a moment, neither of them reached for their coffee. The silence felt surprisingly comfortable. Richard finally spoke. "I have the strange feeling we should have met years ago." Claire wrapped both hands around the warm ceramic mug. "Maybe we already did." Richard studied her face. Not because she was avoiding the question, because she answered it as though it carried another meaning entirely. Outside, leaves drifted slowly across the sidewalk. Inside, time seemed to move more gently. They spoke about ordinary things, favorite books, Chicago winters, Emily's growing fascination with dinosaurs and astronomy. Claire described how her daughter believed every museum should stay open all night. Richard smiled. I think I would have agreed with her when I was 8. Claire looked up almost immediately. You liked museums? Richard blinked. How did you know? She hesitated only briefly. I guessed. He nodded. The answer sounded reasonable. Yet something about it lingered quietly in his thoughts. An hour passed almost unnoticed. When they finally stood to leave, Richard insisted on carrying Claire's library books to her car. It is only a few pounds. I know. But kindness is usually measured in much smaller things. Claire looked at him for a long second. You say that like someone taught it to you. Someone did. He never explained who. She never asked. Across the street, inside a parked gray sedan, a man wearing a baseball cap lowered a camera equipped with a long lens. Several photographs now filled the memory card. Richard beside Claire. Claire smiling. Emily running toward them after school. The man quietly made a phone call. They finally met. A calm voice answered. Continue watching. The call ended. Meanwhile, Richard walked Claire toward her modest sedan parked beneath a row of maple trees. Emily ran across the sidewalk carrying a paper filled with colorful stars. Mom! I got every spelling word right. Claire hugged her tightly. I knew you would. Emily turned toward Richard. Can I show you something? Of course. She unfolded another sheet of paper. It was a crayon drawing. 3 people standing beneath enormous autumn trees. A little girl. Her mother. A tall man. Richard smiled. It is beautiful. Emily pointed toward the tallest figure. That is you. Richard looked surprised. You drew me. You always look lonely. The words landed softly, yet they carried unexpected weight. Children rarely spoke with hidden intentions. Only honest observations. Richard looked at the drawing once more, then quietly folded it with great care. May I keep this? Emily nodded enthusiastically. It is yours. Claire watched the exchange in silence. Something inside her heart softened, not because Richard had accepted a simple drawing, because he treated it as though it were priceless. As the afternoon faded into evening, Richard watched Claire drive away with Emily laughing inside the car. He remained standing until the taillights disappeared around the corner. Only then did he reach inside his jacket. His phone vibrated again. A secure message waited. Phase 2 authorized. Increase personal engagement. Richard stared at the screen. His thumb hovered over the reply. Several seconds passed. Then he locked the phone without answering. For the first time in 7 years, following the plan no longer felt as easy as following his heart. Ironically, the closer two people become, the more dangerous hidden truths begin to feel. The following week unfolded with quiet familiarity. Richard and Claire no longer relied on coincidence. They met for coffee after her library shifts. They walked through Lincoln Park while Emily raced ahead chasing squirrels and falling leaves. Sometimes they talked for hours. Sometimes they simply enjoyed the silence. Neither one seemed uncomfortable with it. One Thursday afternoon, Emily tugged gently on Richard's sleeve as they left the park. Our school has family reading night next Friday. Richard smiled. That sounds important. It is. She looked up with complete sincerity. You should come. Richard glanced toward Claire before answering. I would be honored. If your mother is comfortable with that. Claire met his eyes. I think she already decided for both of us. Emily laughed proudly. I knew you would say yes. That evening, Richard returned to his executive office long after most employees had gone home. The city glowed beneath the office windows. His assistant quietly placed another sealed folder on his desk. The updated observation report. Richard did not touch it immediately. Instead, he looked at Emily's crayon drawing resting inside a simple wooden frame beside his computer. Finally, he opened the folder. Inside were new photographs. Claire walking home. Claire leaving the library. Claire buying groceries. Emily entering school. Richard slowly closed the file. His expression hardened. He pressed the intercom. Please ask Daniel to come upstairs. 5 minutes later, the head of corporate security entered. You wanted to see me? Richard slid the folder across the desk. Who approved continuing these photographs? Daniel answered without hesitation. The investigation protocol requires ongoing documentation. Richard looked directly at him. I did not ask what the protocol requires. I asked who approved it. Daniel remained silent for a moment. The committee. Richard nodded slowly. Effective today. No one photographs Emily again. Daniel frowned. She has always been included as contextual documentation. Richard's voice became calm. She is a child. Another long silence followed. I understand. No. Richard shook his head gently. I hope you do. After Daniel left, Richard gathered every photograph showing Emily. He placed them inside a separate envelope, locked them inside his private desk drawer, then switched off his office lights. Across the city, Claire stood inside her apartment searching for winter blankets before the first cold front arrived. Emily was helping, mostly by opening boxes she had not been asked to touch. Mom, what is it? I found another old box. Claire turned quickly. The cardboard box rested in Emily's lap, covered with faded packing tape. Claire's smile disappeared for only a heartbeat. I forgot that was up there. Emily brushed away the dust. What is inside? Claire slowly walked over. Her hands rested gently on the lid. For several seconds, she did not open it. Instead, she carried the box into her bedroom and placed it carefully inside the closet. Emily looked puzzled. Is it important? Claire answered softly. Very. Can I see it someday? Claire smiled again. Maybe. When the time is right. Emily accepted the answer without another question. Children often trusted promises more easily than adults. Later that night, after Emily had fallen asleep, Claire quietly returned to the closet. She lifted the lid only a few inches. Inside rested an old leather scrapbook, yellow newspaper clippings, carefully folded photographs, magazine articles, small handwritten notes, everything arranged with remarkable care. She gently touched the worn cover before closing the box once more. Not yet. Across the city, Richard stood alone on the balcony outside his penthouse, looking over thousands of lights stretching toward the horizon. He could not explain why seeing Claire smile had begun to matter more than completing the assignment he had accepted years earlier. At that exact moment, neither of them knew they had each closed a different box. One filled with official reports, the other filled with memories. Soon, both would finally be opened. Ironically, the truth rarely arrives all at once. It usually begins with one forgotten box and one innocent question. Family reading night filled the elementary school with warm voices, colorful decorations, and rows of folding chairs occupied by smiling parents. Children hurried through the hallways carrying their favorite books, as teachers welcomed every family with cheerful excitement. Emily could barely contain herself. She held one hand in Claire's. The other rested comfortably in Richard's. To anyone watching, they looked like an ordinary family. For a brief moment, Claire allowed herself to imagine what that might feel like. Inside the classroom, Emily proudly climbed onto a small reading platform. She opened her favorite dinosaur book and read each sentence with determination. She stumbled over one difficult word. Richard smiled encouragingly. You have it. Emily took a deep breath. Then read it perfectly. The classroom erupted in gentle applause. Emily's face lit up with pride. After the event, families slowly drifted toward the parking lot beneath a sky filled with early evening stars. Emily climbed into the back seat of Claire's car. I forgot my art folder. I will be right back. Before Claire could stop her, the little girl hurried back inside the school. I will go with her, Richard said. Claire nodded. Thank you. A few minutes later, they returned carrying the bright blue folder. As Emily climbed into the car again, Richard noticed a cardboard storage box resting in the open trunk beside grocery bags and folded blankets. Claire had forgotten to move it after cleaning the closet. The lid shifted slightly as the trunk remained open. A worn leather scrapbook became visible for only a second. Richard looked away immediately. He had no intention of invading her privacy, but Emily smiled excitedly. That is Mom's secret memory book. Claire's expression changed almost imperceptibly. Emily, I am sorry. The little girl lowered her eyes. I forgot. Richard gently interrupted. It is all right. We all deserve something that belongs only to us. Claire looked at him with quiet gratitude. She closed the trunk carefully. Thank you. Richard smiled. I should probably head home. Emily waved enthusiastically. See you Saturday. I would like that. Richard watched the car disappear before walking toward his own vehicle. Across the parking lot, the same gray sedan sat beneath a streetlight. Its engine remained running. Inside, the man wearing the baseball cap quietly photographed the departing cars before making another phone call. They are becoming emotionally connected. A calm voice answered. Maintain observation. No direct contact. The line went silent. Later that night, Claire finally carried the storage box into her bedroom. She sat quietly on the edge of the bed. For several long moments, she simply stared at it. Then she opened the scrapbook. The first page contained a newspaper clipping dated almost 12 years earlier. A young entrepreneur had donated the remaining funds needed to keep a neighborhood youth center from closing. The accompanying photograph showed a much younger Richard Hawthorne. Claire gently smiled. You never knew. Page after page revealed more carefully preserved memories. Articles, community photographs, charity events, business interviews. Each one carried tiny handwritten notes in the margins. Not admiration, not obsession, gratitude. One note read quietly beneath a faded newspaper photograph. Because of this donation, my father kept his job for another year. Another page held an old hospital fundraising article. Your foundation paid for equipment that treated my mother before she passed away. Claire slowly closed the scrapbook. A single tear rested on her cheek. Not from sadness, from remembering. Across the city, Richard unlocked the drawer inside his executive desk. He removed Emily's crayon drawing. Beside it rested Claire's photograph, separated from every investigation file. For the first time, he placed them together, one beside the other. At that exact moment, neither of them realized an extraordinary truth. Richard believed he had spent 7 years quietly watching Claire. Claire had already spent nearly 12 years quietly collecting moments that proved one simple thing. Long before he ever knew her name, he had unknowingly changed her life. Ironically, gratitude and suspicion had been living side by side for years, neither one knowing the other existed. Monday morning began with gray skies stretching across Chicago. Richard arrived at Hawthorne Capitol before sunrise. His executive floor remained almost silent. Only the distant hum of elevators echoed through the building. He entered his office carrying nothing except Emily's folded crayon drawing inside his briefcase. Before sitting down, he unlocked the drawer containing Claire's investigation file. For several seconds, he simply stared at the thick gray folder. Then he opened it. Every page reflected years of observation, addresses, photographs, dates, movement logs, routine summaries. Nothing inside described the woman he had actually come to know. His office phone rang. The committee is waiting. Richard closed the file. I will be there. Inside the executive conference room, several directors and investigators sat around the polished walnut table. The chairman pushed another folder toward Richard. We received additional surveillance from the weekend. Richard did not touch it. There will be no more surveillance. Several faces turned toward him. One investigator frowned. The operation has not been completed. Richard remained calm. Then complete it without following Claire Bennett. A brief silence settled over the room. Finally, the chairman spoke. You are becoming personally involved. Richard answered quietly. I became personally responsible. Across town, Claire returned home after finishing her library shift. Emily was doing homework at the kitchen table. Mom, can I make a family tree for school? Claire smiled. I think that sounds wonderful. Emily looked around the apartment. We need old family pictures. Claire hesitated. Then she remembered the scrapbook resting inside the bedroom closet. It might help. Together they carried the storage box into the living room. Emily carefully opened the leather scrapbook for the first time. She expected family photographs. Instead, she found newspaper articles, magazine interviews, community awards. Every page featured the same man, Richard. Emily looked up confused. Mom, you knew Mr. Richard before we met? Claire slowly nodded. In a way. Emily gently touched one of the old newspaper clippings. Why did you keep all of these? Claire took a slow breath. When your grandfather lost his job, we thought we would lose our home. She carefully turned another page. A foundation stepped in. They funded the community center where your grandfather worked. Emily listened quietly. Claire smiled at the faded photograph. The person who created that foundation never met us. He never asked for thanks, but his decision gave our family another year together. Another page revealed a hospital article. When Grandma became sick, new medical equipment arrived because of another donation. Emily whispered softly, Mr. Richard? Claire nodded. He probably never knew. Emily looked back at the scrapbook. So you watched him too? Claire laughed gently. I followed the good he brought into the world. I wanted to know if kind people really stayed kind. Emily smiled. And did he? Claire looked toward the apartment window. I believed he did. At that exact moment, Richard sat alone inside his office. Unable to ignore the questions growing louder inside his heart, he opened the digital archive connected to Claire's investigation. He searched the oldest records. One file caught his attention. Original source justification. He opened it. His expression slowly changed. The first identification report had been created from a single anonymous tip submitted 7 years earlier. No physical evidence. No verified witness. No confirmed connection. Only an unverified assumption that had somehow become an accepted fact. Richard read the document again. Then a third time. His heartbeat slowed. Every year that followed. Every surveillance report. Every observation. Every carefully planned encounter had been built upon a foundation that had never truly existed. He leaned back in complete silence. Across the city, Claire carefully closed the scrapbook. Across downtown, Richard quietly closed the investigation file. Neither one realized they had reached the same conclusion at nearly the same moment. Some boxes are filled with memories. Others are filled with mistakes. The difference is discovered only after someone finally finds the courage to open them. The heaviest burdens are not carried in our hands. They are carried in the quiet moment before we decide to tell the truth. Richard did not sleep that night. The investigation file remained open across the dining table inside his penthouse. Anonymous source. Unverified assumption. No confirmed evidence. Only years of unquestioned procedures that had gradually become accepted as fact. He finally understood what had happened. No one had deliberately targeted Claire. Someone had simply failed to question the first mistake. Every decision afterward had inherited the same error. By sunrise, Richard had already made his choice. Inside Hawthorne Capital, the executive board gathered earlier than usual. No one expected the atmosphere waiting inside the conference room. Richard entered carrying only 2 folders. One gray, one cream-colored. He placed both carefully on the polished table. The investigation ends today. The chairman remained calm. The committee has not reached that conclusion. Richard looked directly at every person seated around the room. I have. He opened the gray folder first. Every surveillance report. Every photograph. Every movement log. Every observation collected over 7 years. Without raising his voice, Richard removed the first page. Then another. One by one, he fed every document into the secure document shredder standing beside the conference table. No one spoke. The quiet sound of paper disappearing filled the room. Finally, the chairman stood. You are destroying company records. Richard answered without looking away. I am destroying records that should never have existed. The last page disappeared into the machine. Silence settled over the room. Richard slid the cream-colored folder across the table. What remains is the financial investigation. The innocent family is no longer part of it. One director lowered his eyes. Another quietly closed his notebook. No one argued again. Across the city, Claire spent the afternoon helping Emily decorate homemade paper snowflakes for the library's upcoming winter reading program. Tiny pieces of white paper covered the kitchen table. Emily laughed every time another snowflake unfolded into an unexpected shape. Claire watched her daughter with quiet gratitude. Simple moments had become her favorite kind. The doorbell rang. Claire opened the door expecting a delivery. Instead, she found Richard standing outside. He wore no overcoat despite the cold afternoon, no expensive briefcase, no polished executive image, only a simple navy sweater and an expression she had never seen before. "I am sorry for arriving without calling." Claire stepped aside. "You look like someone carrying difficult news." "I am." Emily looked up from the kitchen. "Mr. Richard." He smiled gently. "Hello, Emily." She sensed something unusual almost immediately. "I will finish my snowflakes in my room." Claire watched her daughter quietly disappear upstairs before turning back toward Richard. Neither of them spoke for several long seconds. Finally, Richard reached into his coat pocket. He placed a folded sheet of paper on the dining table. "What is this?" "The first page of the investigation." Claire frowned. "I thought you said you worked in investment management." "I do. But I never told you everything." His voice grew quieter. "For 7 years, I believed someone connected to an old financial crime was hiding behind your identity." Claire remained completely still. "I accepted an investigation that never should have continued. I watched your life from a distance. I convinced myself I was protecting people." A long silence followed. Richard never tried to defend himself. He simply continued. "Yesterday I discovered the original accusation was never supported by evidence. I ended everything this morning." Claire looked down at the single page resting on the table. She did not touch it. Instead, she slowly walked toward the hallway. Richard believed she was leaving. Moments later, she returned carrying the worn leather scrapbook. She placed it beside his paper. One thin folder. One old scrapbook. 2 different lives. 2 different secrets. She looked into Richard's eyes, then spoke with quiet honesty. "For nearly 12 years, I have been watching you too." For the first time since their paths had crossed, neither of them had anything left to hide. The greatest love stories do not begin when 2 people first see each other. They begin when both finally choose to stop hiding. The apartment remained quiet. The scrapbook rested beside the single investigation report on the dining table. Neither object seemed important anymore. What mattered was everything they represented. Richard looked at the worn leather cover before carefully opening it. The first newspaper clipping immediately caught his attention. His younger face smiled back from a community fundraiser held nearly 12 years earlier. He looked up at Claire. "You kept all of this?" Claire nodded gently. "I never collected you. I collected the moments when your kindness reached people who would never have the chance to thank you." She slowly turned another page. "There." Richard followed her finger. A photograph showed volunteers standing outside a neighborhood youth center. "I donated to hundreds of organizations." Claire smiled softly. "I know, but that one saved my father's job." She turned another page. A hospital article. "That equipment gave my mother more time with us." Another page. A scholarship program. "It paid for my library degree." Richard's eyes never left the scrapbook. For years, he had believed he was the one quietly observing her life. Now he realized something extraordinary. Claire had never followed his wealth. She had followed his goodness. A long silence settled between them. Finally, Richard spoke. "I spent 7 years believing I was protecting the truth." Claire answered with quiet honesty. "And I spent 12 years believing kindness always deserves to be remembered." Neither statement needed further explanation. Upstairs, Emily slowly walked down the hallway. She stopped when she saw both adults sitting quietly beside one another. No raised voices. No tears. Only 2 people speaking with complete honesty. She smiled. "Is everything okay?" Claire looked toward her daughter. "Yes." Emily tilted her head. "You both stopped looking sad." Richard laughed softly. "I think we finally stopped pretending." Emily walked closer and looked at the scrapbook. "So Mr. Richard knows now?" Claire nodded. "He knows everything." Emily smiled proudly. "I knew you would tell each other." Children often believe difficult conversations were much simpler than adults imagined. Perhaps they were right. Several weeks later, The first snowfall of winter covered Chicago beneath a quiet blanket of white. The anonymous investigation was officially closed. Every personal record connected to Claire had been permanently removed. Richard requested one final review before approving the archive. Only financial evidence remained. Everything else disappeared forever. Nothing connected to Claire or Emily remained inside the company's records. That same afternoon, Claire carried the old scrapbook to the fireplace inside her apartment. Richard stood beside her. Emily watched quietly from the sofa. Claire looked at the worn leather cover one last time. It carried gratitude. She smiled. "But I do not need proof anymore." Richard nodded. "I understand." Together they removed every newspaper clipping, every handwritten note, every faded photograph. Instead of destroying them, they placed them inside a small keepsake box for Emily. One day, she would understand why they mattered. Claire closed the empty scrapbook. Richard quietly placed the final investigation folder beside it. Without saying another word, both empty covers disappeared together into the warm fireplace. One had carried unnecessary suspicion. The other had carried silent gratitude. Neither was needed anymore. Weeks later, on a bright winter morning, Richard entered the same neighborhood coffee shop where he had once watched Claire from across the street. This time he was not early. He was not observing anyone. He simply walked to her table. Claire looked up from her book and smiled. "May I buy you a cup of coffee?" Richard asked. She laughed gently. "I thought you finally stopped following me." "I did." "So why are you here?" Richard smiled with peaceful certainty. "Because this is the first day I have ever come simply hoping to see you." Claire closed her book. "You know, for 12 years I watched the man you were. For 7 years, you watched the woman you believed I was." She reached across the table and gently took his hand. "Today, we finally meet the people we truly are." Outside, fresh snow continued falling across Chicago. Inside, no one was watching anyone anymore. For the first time, there were no hidden reports, no forgotten scrapbooks, no carefully guarded secrets. Only two honest hearts beginning exactly where they should have begun all along, with the truth.